Hi. Welcome to the juice bar. Please be quiet right now, Lisa. We'll get to you in a second.
She's, I don't have my volume up, so I can't tell what's happening.
All right.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, that aside, we're your servers. I'm Cassie.
I'm Rebecca, and today our special is the lore behind the Golden Apple Archipelago. Because, as you know, this is a new event that's going on for a limited time, and it comes with a lot of interesting mysteries that we've gotten to experience over the course of a few days. We're not all the way through with it. I'm sure answers will come eventually, but we don't have time for that. We've been very busy well, me specifically.
You have. I've been doing nothing.
Yeah, Cassie hasn't done anything.
I've been on vacation.
It is a lovely beach area.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking a lot about just what happened to the people, trying to understand who used to live here, trying to understand like what society was like, how they got here, because the only thing that we really have are these conches, which are these echoes of the past. Kind of eerie echoes, to be honest. I don't know if you felt that way, but
no, like the whole islands are pretty creepy.
Yeah, like fun summer vibes, but also really shady, really strange, kind of off. This whole thing. Well, anyway, so I was going through the conches again, and I was thinking like the way that they kind of have set up this island, at least the way it like first played off to me, was that everything that we were seeing now occurred and was built like years ago. We're in this future time. Whoever lived here before us and is now long gone, it happened a long time ago. And I thought this for a while until I was listening to the conches again. And there's only one real name drop in the conches, and that's the name Dong Dong. And Dong Dong, it really stuck with me. I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking about this man. It's a father who's talking about his son Dong Dong, and it kept ringing kind of familiar in my mind, and I wanted to figure out where it was, and then it hit me. I had met Dong Dong before. I had actually seen him in the game. So why don't you come with me here, Cassie? We're going to take a little bit of a journey away from the islands. Yeah, away from the islands and this lovely camp, and we're going to take a trip to Liyue for a second. Jeez. Yeah, we're gonna go back to Tevat.
Wow. Okay.
And we're gonna go all the way to Chingsa village, and I swear I'm probably pronouncing all of this incorrectly, so
you know what?
Apologies.
We're not Chinese.
No, we're not. So, okay. So we're here in Chingsa village now, and I mean, I'm sure most of y'all know the lore behind Chingsa village too. It's essentially this little town that's filled with mainly children and old people because parents have left and are usually off either in the city of Liyue, like getting more money there, I guess, or in others' cases, they're on a little bit of an adventure. So if we come down here to the square, I'm gonna get this one. Okay. There's a single little boy that stands here, and if you take a look, his name is, in fact, Dong Dong.
Poor kid.
Poor kid, right? So, I guess before I talk to you about Dong Dong, yeah, honestly, the reason the name stuck out to me was because I remember thinking, when I first stumbled upon Dong Dong just exploring Liyue,
yeah,
I remember thinking how stupid the name was. I'm sorry, Dong Dong. You didn't deserve it.
The way you're explaining all this sounds so professional, but I think it's more entertaining when you just kind of like talk to me.
Okay.
All formalities thrown out the window.
Alright, fine, whatever. So, I'm gonna look at the conch real quick.
No, you're good.
You can pull it up on your screen if you want.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the thing Unlucky
For
Father.
viewer reference.
Yeah, for viewer reference. In the
the third set.
Story?
Right?
Yeah, the third set. That's the word I was looking for.
Unlucky Father.
In the set of Unlucky Father, we get 3 little conches. And the first one, it just says, Hilly Churls, what are they doing here? Get off me, help, whatever. Guy getting attacked by Hilly Churls. Standard stuff. But in the second one is where we actually get the name drop, where it says Dong Dong is waiting for me to come home. So that's how you know that it's actually Dong Dong's father. And then the third one, someone's there to rescue him. Who is rescuing him? I don't really know, but we'll get to that.
We'll delve into that today.
Yeah, we'll look into it later. We'll start looking at some of the theories. So, that's the background. That's the conch that kind of got me started on this whole journey and got me thinking about all of this stuff. So anyway, when you talk to Dong Dong, he doesn't really say a whole lot. He says that yeah, I can't talk to him right now. But when you do talk to him, I did it recently again just to
he doesn't say much, honestly, because I also talked to him, and all he basically says is like, my dad's. I think he says that his dad is with the Crux.
He does. He does in fact say that, which is interesting because where do we know the Crux from?
Queen Beto.
Beto, yeah, that's her fleet.
In this chair.
You can't do what?
I can't. Oh, there we go. Wait, no.
Why are you're facing the wrong way?
Oh, it won't let me sit that way. Wait.
Well, sucks for you, I guess. I'm gonna be sitting here having tea while you get to face the mountain. Anyway.
Okay, go on. What a lovely conversation.
So the boy he'll ask you if you're an adventurer, and he'll tell you that his father is also an adventurer, and that his father is out with the Crux. And that's pretty much all the information that you get from Dong Dong here. It just so happens that the other day I was going through the archive, which I recommend you do. I haven't even gone through all the books. I'm gonna drop my favorite book though. Pretty much the only one that I've read. But it's called Heart's Desire. I swear everybody needs to read it because it's so interesting to me. I love reading about like this kind not a genie, but it's kind of like the same storyline where like you wish for something but you get what you wish for, but like at what cost, like with a bunch of things you didn't necessarily want. Still answered your wish, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, because in the archive there's also a book, and it's just titled Someone's Diary. And I just happened to stumble upon this again while I was like in the process of forming all of these theories in my head, but I realized that once again the Dong Dong pops up. Because it starts with Dear Dong Dong. The very first volume of Someone's Diary is a letter from a father. Yeah, you can pull it up. It's a letter from a father to his son Dong Dong. And the very first paragraph, he says that he's coming back from Inazuma. He was with the Crux, he was with Beto. And he goes through all of these wonderful adventures that he's had, all of these fun things, how excited he's going to be to see his son again, where he's going to take his son, like, as he gets older, and once he comes back. And it's just a sweet letter from a father to his son. But then you get to the other volumes, and every single paragraph that was in the letter to his son, you get, like, the true story that inspired what he wrote to his son, which wasn't actually true. And it's kind of sad. I really do feel for the guy. He's had a lot of misfortune. He didn't always make the best decisions, but I mean, a lot of it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, after you pointed out the diaries and stuff, I went back and read them, like after, we collected the volumes together in your world and stuff, because I had never read them before, and like I was really confused because I just read the first one, at first, and didn't read the second ones, and I was like, the part that stuck out to me was like, there's no way he just had lunch with an Adepti.
I know.
I don't know why that's or Adeptus. I was like, I don't know why that was the point, like, that I was like, there is no way, like, the rest of it. I mean, it's kind of plausible, because he's just, like, goes
I was
into a beach. But, yeah,
yeah,
once
but
I
it
read
makes
through
more
the
sense
rest.
because you get the rest of the story. You find out that he
Yeah.
did not obviously sit with an Adeptus. He didn't actually find gold on
Just trash,
Yaoguang
he said.
Shore. Yeah. Anyway,
Sad.
so this doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the conches. It's just
Little backstory.
another piece of the lore about this man,
We're
Dong Dong's
focusing
father.
on the unlucky father story,
Yes,
of
this
the conches.
unnamed man. So here's the thing that really, why the whole Dong Dong's father thing stood out to me. It's the fact that, like I said before, I kind of thought that at first everything was taking place a long time ago in the past. But then when you get to know that Dong Dong's father was actually like shipwrecked on the island, and you see that Dong Dong is like a child, you realize that maybe none of this actually occurred long as we thought. Like,
Yeah, like, it's more
maybe
recent events.
yeah. And so that's kind of what got me started on this whole journey of trying to figure out what is the timeline, like how many different groups of people were shipwrecked on the island at the same time, and then how did they get out, and when did that occur? Like, did it occur as long ago as we thought, or was it maybe not that much longer before we arrived at the island?
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of this was like the jumping point, the story. I'm gonna go check this out. Oh, it was just an adventurous tale
Are we
feather.
going
Okay,
somewhere?
yeah. So why don't we go ahead and take
Where
a
are we
trip
heading?
to? We're gonna go to Beto's ship, and we're going to.
All the way down there again.
Yeah, I know we went there yesterday, but this time we'll do it for.
We didn't do it
for
on
on stream.
camera, though.
We didn't do it on camera. We're gonna go back there because
Is this where it is?
if he was actually with Beta ship, this is the only one that's actually in the game. At least I'm pretty sure.
Oh, hey, we're kind of
So
close. Go on.
I was gonna continue the story.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so the thing about ooh, I'm gonna land right on here.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Did you? You
No, it's because I ran into you.
Oh well. Oh.
Here we are.
Anyway, so yeah, we're here. This is the only ship that is available from Beto's fleet, and the thing is, the fleet is called the Crux. The ship itself is just called the Alcor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no reference to what ship he was on, just that he joined the Crux, like joined the fleet. So
Okay,
we went
wait.
around.
Before we go
What?
into that, I'm curious because I'm very curious about whether or not he actually ended up joining the Crux. Because in his diaries, right, he mentions that he's going to try to join them. And
Right.
he gets Dong Dong gets those letters from his dad that says he joined. But also, according to the diary, he has written to Dong Dong and lied about the events of his life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering,
And I think this is kind of where we start to get into a little bit of the theories, because
Yeah.
obviously we don't have the definitive answers.
Because
I think that there's two possible explanations. So
Yeah.
in the diary, it mentions only at the very end that he's planning on joining the Crux. He's going to see if like Captain Beto will let
Well,
him.
actually, in his letter to Dong Dong, in the first paragraph, it says, "I promise when I get back, I'll take you to see the Crux's ship down at the harbor." Implying that at the time that he sent this letter, he's already part of, or at the time that he meant to send it. It kind of seems like he's implying that he's part of the crew.
It is, but considering the entire letter is a lie, I don't know how much we can take that as truth. Like,
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
know
saying.
if we can.
Like, if the letter's a lie, then he might not have ever joined the Crux at all.
Yeah, it's quite possible. So that's what I was going to say. I think that there's two theories. One, he joined the Crux, and the Crux was the ship that got him shipwrecked on the islands in the first place. Or two, he never joined the Crux. He was on a different ship at the time, and he somehow ended up on the islands. And don't know if Captain Beta was like ever on the islands, like if the Crux ever actually made it to the islands or not.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
possible,
she
but we
was.
don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. So whether or not he was ever actually on the Crux, there's really no telling because
Remains a mystery, you know?
the man was known to lie a bit.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, bottom line is we did check out the Crux, or not the Crux. We checked out the Alcor, and
This single
there's
ship.
yeah, this only ship, and there's no one here that
Mhm.
really matches the description of being a father to a young boy out on an adventure.
Yeah, most of the adults are either, you know, older men like this dude, Sea Drake, you know?
Or too young,
Yeah. Like the guy
or
at
they're
top, he's
not
pretty young.
men at all.
Yeah. There's also just a random kid on this
That's
boat.
true.
There, I don't know why
Yeah.
there's a child here.
Yeah, his parents are dead, and Captain Beto, like, is basically his only family now, and he just decided to steal onto the ship.
Yeah,
But
she's
he's
a
not
sweetheart.
important. He's not what this is about.
He's
This is
not
about
Dong
Dong
Dong.
Dong. Yeah, he's not Dong Dong. So, anyway, bottom line is, Captain Beto's ship, as fun as it is, it's the only one available. She's not even on it. Well, I guess she is now since you're her right now,
I
but
mean, yeah, I believe she's like dealing with trade stuff.
maybe in Inazuma.
Possibly.
Inazuma also plays a big role in the islands.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit of a teaser
The islands
to
are
what is
really
to
weird
come.
because they're like it's got like combined lore of like 3 nations because like
Right.
it's got the Inazuma lore, it's got Mondstadt lore, and then
And
it's
there are
got
some
Liyue
parts
lore.
about Liyue. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Which I'm going to get into
I also saw
later.
somewhere that it's one of, I believe, I could be wrong, I believe it's the only place that has specialties from multiple nations. Because you can find the star conches.
I haven't found any star conches.
There are star conches on the islands. There aren't many.
I literally have not seen a single one.
There are a few. I know because I've collected some.
Well,
not on your islands. I
then
haven't
you've
stolen
done better
yours.
than me because I swear I have not found a single star conch.
There's only like literally a handful. There's like, I don't know, like 5, I think. There's dandelions, which I'm sure you've seen because they're some really close to the teleports. And then the most obvious one is those sea, I don't know what I can't remember what they're called. I don't know.
Sea flower things.
Yeah,
the
sea
glowing
flowers.
blue things.
I
Those
just
are,
call them
I'm
kind of
assuming,
germs.
from Inazuma.
'Cause
Germ.
I don't know. They've got like the weird bubbly tops. The sea flower germs. Geronimos.
But yes,
I don't know.
and other thing, like the monsters that you fight too. Like they've got all the hilly turtles with the geo shields, and that's only found in Liyue.
We go to Inazuma and the hilly churls all have katanas.
Gosh, that sounds terrifying.
Like they come at you and like, rah, and they've got like swords.
So yes, it's a conglomerate of a bunch of different islands. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So let's, I guess, go ahead and go back to the islands.
It's been a while.
There's nothing for us here on Beto's ship.
There's nothing for us here.
Nothing for us here. Beto did not deliver.
No.
That was a long tangent, but all of that to say, there's no evidence that Dong Dong's father was on that specific ship. Again, the Crux is a fleet of ships, so there's multiple ships
I'm assuming
that he could have been on. Well, yeah, it would be kind of weird if it was
weird to have
a
fleet of a
single
single
ship.
one.
Yeah, but he is not on the Alcor. Or at least not anymore. Could have left. Anyway, so I was going through. I wanted to learn more about the timeline because we've already established that since Dong Dong is still a relatively young child, we know that his father was here on the island trying to get back to him, which means that obviously Dong Dong's father was somehow, like, he was marooned here on this island We don't
Yeah.
know how long he was marooned here, but he
We
was
don't know
marooned here
how he
like,
got here.
yeah, relatively soon. It sounds like it there's nothing that really says whether or not he was shipwrecked. Okay, so here's the thing. I went through every single voice line, like not just Dong Dong's father's
Yes.
voice lines. I went through all of them, and Dong Dong's like the only one that's name dropped. But what I decided to do was listen and try to see. I noticed that we got a lot of voices.
Mhm.
I literally went and made a diagram cross-referencing every single conch storyline
Mhm.
and listening to the voices,
Oop, wrong thing.
and I matched up every single voice that was the same. And I discovered that Dong Dong's father does not only speak in the Unlucky Father set of conches,
Mhm.
he also has a couple of voice lines in Island Bygones. And I'm doing all of this in
Oh,
English
really?
because, yes, because I mean, I speak English, and also it's
Uh,
easier for me to hear like tone of voice
yeah, I
in
listen in
English.
Chinese because I think their voices are very calming.
I like to have them in English just because,
Mhm.
well, when I speak English, and two, I
Yeah.
sometimes don't feel like reading, and so
This is this is
having them
interesting
speak
though
is
because
easier.
Rebecca, I did
Hmm.
this after you went to bed, but I also went through and listened to I didn't take notes or anything, but I listened to the rest of the voice lines just because, like I said earlier yesterday, like while we were talking, like I hadn't listened to all the conches because I wanted to wait until I collected them all to listen. And I figured like there's only one act left, which came out today. So I was like, I might as well just listen to all of them. And I also
Yeah,
noticed that like some of the lines in Island Bygones sounded like they could have been said by Dong Dong's father, but I'm not sure. I wanted to say this before you go into detail about what you found, but
right.
some of the lines that thought might be said by him don't match the voice of Dong Dong's father, although I didn't pay that much attention.
Okay, so I'm going to tell
Yeah,
you the ones that I discovered were written by the same. There's only three of them.
yes.
I don't know if it's actually meant to be Dong Dong's dad. It's more like this is just the same voice actor. So like I don't again, there's no name dropping in
Yeah,
Island Bygones, so it's kind of hard to tell like who's supposed to
because
be
they
doing
they
what.
do reuse the voice actors.
Hmm. But because he's it's like the exact same tone.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just I just feel like
It's just too
it
close to
should
be a
it should be
coincidence.
the same person. And I mean, I'm not an expert or anything. I just have ears. I'm not like a
I
good
too
voice
have
matcher.
ears.
I'm not like an expert voice matcher or anything like that. Like I'm just going based on like what I heard. And I spent a long time doing this. But there are three conches in Island Bygones. The first one is titled Nowhere to Run, the second one is The Outside World, and the third one is The Inverted Ruins. All three of those have
Mm.
him talking like the same voice actor as Dong Dong's father in the same voice as Dong Dong's father, which I mean it doesn't necessarily mean very much, but the very like Nowhere to Run is basically just like him talking to an old man like an old man voice,
Mm.
which I'll get into him because like I said, I literally went and created a diagram that connected all of these people together.
Mm.
Um
These, I will say, these are the voice lines that I noticed.
they
Um,
just kind of sound like he could be him.
yeah, like reading, because obviously I don't speak Chinese. I guess it's not that
Yeah.
obvious because people can't see our faces. And
Well, yeah, that's
I
true.
even if they could see our face, I am Asian, so I um,
But not
but I'm
Chinese.
not Chinese. So yeah, so I just read the text, but then when I went to listen to the voice and try to voice match, again, like the one from Island Bygones is like really high pitched. in comparison to the other one, like really, like the voice is really different. But maybe time has
难得
passed,
在
you
陆
know,
地上
like
逗留那么
I don't
久，
know, like
居然有点不习惯了。
in this short time he's been on the island, he's aged years. I don't know.
Well,
Like,
in the English voice
yeah.
acting, it sounds exactly the same. Like it is clearly the same person.
Maybe, actually, let me go into my settings.
Are
Just
you
so
going to
we're
play it in
on par.
English?
Yeah.
What? You're saying
See
you've
what
been
I
trapped
okay,
on
so
this
what I have
island
to guess
for
is that
generations?
the end where he's being rescued,
Mm-hmm.
it's not from the
It's nearly
island. I think
time
he's just
for
being rescued from the hilly
afternoon tea.
turtles. And then he
Yeah,
was rescued by people that were already on the island, hence why he was talking to like natives of the
Yeah.
islands
I
in these next
also,
voice lines.
yeah, that does make sense that he's like maybe he wasn't rescued off of the island because there it seems to be a lot of trouble to get here. I- I'm confused
Yeah,
as to
the
how he
fact
got
that
here,
I
but
think that the fog just chooses who it wants to come. Like the
yeah.
fog surrounds the island, and because when you talk to
If you ever
Lisa,
want to trade tactics, I'm
she
always ready.
mentions how people have
Today's no good
tried
for
to get
going
here
out.
before, and
Hmm.
the fog
Did I
always
say
stops
that
them. And I
yesterday
think
as
that
well?
it just sort of picks and chooses who it wants to come. So, if you're a group of sailors
No, just
and
listen
you
to me.
were unlucky enough
There's
to
a
be chosen,
huge
then
world
now
out
you're
there.
just kind of stuck here. If you're Dong Dong's father, now you're
Sucks for
just kind
you.
of stuck here.
Someone's here to
Yeah.
rescue me.
Also, I listened to the voice lines, and the English voice does sound like the same guy. Like,
I told you.
yeah,
Years. Okay, so
those ears they be working.
yeah, and these voice lines like aren't super exciting or anything. Honestly, Dong Dong's father's just kind of whiny. I mean, I guess he has good reason to. He just
What?
found out that he's possibly stuck here on this group of islands, like for the
Forever.
rest of his life, and won't be getting back to his precious boy Dong Dong. Yeah, and then he is telling. Okay, here's where it gets interesting, though. He talks to someone about Mondstadt, Liyue, and Inazuma. And they're like, what is this? What is Liyue? And that makes it seem like this person, at least, was like never from there, I guess. And here's where I think we start to get to different groups of people from different times. Well, I mean, obviously, they're from different times.
Yeah.
Or like different groups that have come on the island. Because he makes it seem like if he has like no knowledge at all of like the outside world of like Mondstadt and Liyue and Inazuma, it sounds like he and his family have been here for generations, like long time. But then you get someone like Dong Dong's father, who obviously was there pretty recently because, again, he has a son. And then if you go to Song of a Distant Home, this is an entire. This is the only one that I think is truly separate from anything else because as much as I was trying to voice
It's hard to remain
check
on dry land
these
for so
lines
long.
against some of the other lines,
Never
I
quite
couldn't
seem to
really
get my
find
life back.
anybody that was similar to other voices.
Well,
And
yeah, go on.
well, I was just gonna say, in the very
If
first
you ever want
one,
to trade tactics,
the Five
I'm always
Mountains
ready.
Hide the Little Village, you were told that 10 years ago, this, I guess, family was shipwrecked on the islands. So this group, at least, has only been there for 10 years. The other old man that was talking, which I'm going to get into him in a little bit because he did have voice lines from other things. He has been here, at least in my opinion, based on his reaction to hearing
His
from
like,
about other countries. I
yeah.
just don't think that he's ever learned about them because whoever came from those countries and his family has long died out, and they probably just didn't
Seems like
pass
he
the
was
knowledge along.
born on this island.
Yeah, like he
He's
was
just
clearly
born and
born,
raised.
and he's voiced in the voice of an old man, so
Yeah.
he's lived his entire life here, and clearly other people in his family have too because they just don't have any recollection
It's
of these
just been so
countries.
long.
So let's go back
It's
to.
hard to remain
Well,
on
no, let's
dry
talk about
land for
Song of a
so
Distant
long.
Home
The
for a
Songs
second.
of a Distant
Never
Home,
quite
I
seemed to get
believe
my
it's like
land
pretty
legs
much
wet.
the only
nearly
set
time
that
for
like
afternoon
traverses
tea.
multiple generations of people, right?
This too, it was a little bit confusing to try and figure out what the timeline of this single set was, because when you're first given the Song of a Distant Home, it's of a grandmother
If you ever
giving
want
her
to trade
granddaughter
tactics, I'm always ready.
Mm-hmm.
um something like a gift, some kind
Yes.
of family
It
heirloom.
doesn't say what, though.
Yeah, we don't get to know what. I mean, eventually, I guess we find the family heirloom. Like Paimon really wants the treasure, and you do that quest.
Anyways, yeah,
Anyways,
go
so
on.
you
Why not
yeah, you
keep me
have this
company for
grandmother
a
giving
while?
it to her
There'll
granddaughter,
be plenty
and
of time
then
for work later.
in the next one, you have a mother,
Mm-hmm.
clearly like the
I should
granddaughter grown up at this point, giving it to her daughter. So this is like 4 generations. We don't get to know like the
Mm-hmm.
granddaughter's mother, but like the great granddaughter the um now has
Yeah.
the heirloom.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go down to the very bottom one, to me it seems like, they're talking about how the tides are getting higher and they're trying to survive. It sounds like the water is getting too high. There's also some mention of tides later
If
on,
you
which
ever
we can
want to
talk
trade
about, but
tactics, I'm
It's
always
nearly
ready.
time
it
for
sounds
afternoon tea.
like the water was rising and so they were having less and less land to be on, and the granddaughter says that she had to leave the heirloom behind to get people to safety. But at this point, she's like an adult woman. She's no longer just a little girl. So we've seen this family at least grow up. But again,
Cold
they had
beer
only
after a
been there for
hard
10
day's work.
years prior
Nothing like it.
to whatever, before, like, shipwrecking on the island. But they are kind of separate, it seems like. So what I wonder is, were they like from a different time, or were they coexisting with everybody else? Like all these people just kind of came together and then helped each other out.
How long? How much time do you think passed between the Five Mountains set and the Clan
If
of
you
the
ever want to
Sun
trade
one? Because
tactics, I'm
I
always ready.
figured that like a lot of time had passed, you know? I think that there's more people because in the third one, it says that um it starts with like, oh, time flies. I've grown old, and she's a grandmother because it sounds like she's talking to someone, you
That's
know,
true. It
and she's
says
saying,
many
"Come to
years ago.
grandma." Hmm. And then she also talks about a family heirloom, and then it says grandma is giving it to you. So I think that you were missing like another person.
Yeah, you're right. I
So
think
If you ever want to
so I
trade
there's
think that
probably
tactics, I'm
more
always
than
ready.
that.
yeah.
Today,
And then the
did I
fourth
say
one
that yesterday
is
as well?
the granddaughter.
From the original story.
No, just the granddaughter from the third one. So like has received it.
That makes sense too. I guess that probably makes more sense actually.
I feel like there were just more generations than
Yeah, so then
you were
again, we
saying.
have somebody,
If you ever
or
want
at
to
least like
trade
a
tactics,
family
I'm
that's lived
always
there for
ready.
a long time.
So basically, it's
But
gone through 2 grandmas.
yes. The thing is though, this is like I said, I think that they just sort of either lived separately or they just don't have any like voice lines that go over from one to another. Like I don't know, like they just don't seem like they have any voice lines that talk with any other people besides the people in their family.
Mm.
Also, gotta say that this family had a lot of girls. If they're just
Yeah,
passing these
you're right.
heirlooms from one girl to another.
Well, if cause each of these conch sets are like from different islands, right? Assuming that like um clearly these people do not really care about like traveling away from their single islands. So if each of these stories are tied to a specific island, it's very likely that they've just never met the other people from other islands or that they're not aware, you know? Because like
possible.
Yeah.
But I would still think that they'd want to travel a little bit because you can see, like, when you're on one island, on the map it
Yeah.
may look far, but like you can look out and you can see all the other islands in the distance. And I don't know, if I was shipwrecked here, I feel like I'd be trying to get to see what was on all the other islands. Like
But
I get
also,
bored
that's
just
we're
here.
adventurers,
beer
because
after
that's
a
the whole
hard day's
thing about
work.
like them, like
Nothing
the
like it.
in the island bygones. Like the old man's just like, now we just live here, we just stay
Chilling.
here, you know. And then like it seems like just based on the fact that they don't seem intent on traveling and stuff, I doubt that they would like use boats. So if it's not like within like walking and climbing distance, like I don't think that they'd really go anywhere, especially since like with the islands, like with the rising water, like if your home is like sinking, like the logical thing to do would probably be to find a new home, you know, like just sail off somewhere else. But they're
The
just
tides
like,
are getting higher by the year.
we'll just move up higher.
If the water level
We'll
rises
just keep
much
going
further,
up,
we will stand very little
know?
chance of survival.
Yeah, I mean, this is true. I guess maybe they did just live separately, and then
If
they
you ever
just
wanna
never
trade
realized
tactics,
that there
I'm
were
always
other
ready.
groups of people shipwrecked on the
Especially
island.
since none of the conches, or like at least very few of them, mix into other islands. They're all locked to kind of their sets, you know?
Well, you say that, but I've managed to connect every other group of conches except for the Songs of a Distant Home.
Hmm. Like
At
they've
least
been found on
but
different islands?
no, not that they've been found on
Ah.
different islands. I just mean like I have connected either what they're talking about or like the voices of the people to these different sets of conches.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
not
Why not
yeah,
keep me
that's what I'm
company
like.
for a
This is like
while?
the only thing that I
There'd be
found at
plenty of
least. And again,
time
these are
for
just my
work
theories, so I
later.
don't know whether
Yeah.
it's true or not.
I guess
But this is like the only one that I found that seems to
If you
just
ever wanna
stand
trade
completely
tactics, I'm
alone
always
and
ready.
has no overlap with anything else.
I guess specifically like this clan of people that like kind of seem just isolated from everything else.
It is possible. If
Like this
wait,
specific group of people seems
which
to just be
island were they
locked.
on? Which island were these conches found on?
These
You have
conches
the
were
things pulled
found
up, right?
on
It's the group of islands up in the top
yeah,
right corner. It's Twinning
Twinning
Isle.
Isles. Yeah. The other ones do, the other
If
like
you ever
voice
wanna
lines
trade
kind of do
tactics,
involve
I'm always
travel.
ready.
So they're like, the conches are found on like islands, like specific islands that tie into that. This one's the only one that's like super
It's hard to
close.
remain
I
on
guess
dry
the
land for so
unlucky
long.
father one is kind of
Never
similar.
quite seem to get my land legs.
But we've already connected the fact
Yeah.
that Dong Dong's father comes up in other things. And that's the main issue is that it doesn't like each set may have been found on a specific place. Well, except for Island Bygones. I feel like
The
that was
Island
spread all
Bygones is
over.
all over.
But
If
also
you ever
there's so
wanna
many
trade
different people
tactics, I'm
talking.
always
It's
ready.
kind of hard to like to figure out what's going on. But don't worry because I did. At least I think I did. It's been a long time listening to these voice lines. But yeah, it just seems like honestly they kind of had it good. Like Twinning Isle, it has a lot of little islands around it,
It's
so I
cute.
can't really blame them for just
Hey,
staying in that
do you
area.
hear that? That sound means that
Yeah. Okay, so might be far-fetched
It's hard to remain on
idea.
dry
Uh-huh.
land for
And
so
this might be
long.
disconnected from what we were talking about
Quite seem to
before
get my
because
land
we've had a
legs.
break. We'll just cut it an intermission. But so when you open up
Okay.
the map for the archipelago, right? In the bottom of the
Yes.
screen, it has like the countdown that's like for the event, because like, you know, it's the same countdown as for the barber skin, the conch things. And like, I feel like either the islands are going to sink again, you know, and disappear, and like history repeats itself, the water level rises, they're just gone, and that's what happens to them.
If you ever want to trade
Or
tactics, I'm always ready.
this just separate map disappears, and the islands get spliced into the existing to that map. because there's just so much happening in terms of lore on this map, right? And I know that we started playing the game late. We started playing
like it.
after the first update, so we didn't get like the whole like official event and anything. But even then, like that was just when the game came out. So like the event was kind of like not filler, but like they didn't add anything new because the whole game was new.
Yeah.
And the only thing comparable to like this is Dragonspine, which is a
Today's
permanent
no good
area
for going out.
that has lore and everything.
Did I say that yesterday as well?
And like
If you ever want to trade
the way
tactics,
that this
I'm
map
always
looks,
ready.
it's just like this chunk of land in the middle of nowhere. So they could very easily just put it into the water of somewhere into that,
It's even more interesting, just like looking at the map right now.
Uh-huh.
You can see how each of the islands are clearly not. It's not even like we sunk the water a lot so that the islands popped out more, but you can still see that under the water there's still more landmass, and
Yeah,
we're
definitely. And it
missing
goes
a lot.
beyond the sand.
Yes. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you see the light blue that's surrounding all of the islands, like the
No, yeah,
topography.
definitely.
There's way more down
If
there
you
that
ever
we're
want to
just not
trade
getting
tactics, I'm always
because the
ready.
water level didn't sink that low.
And
It's
another
nearly
thing
time
is
for
that
afternoon tea.
so this update, right? We're getting Cleary Run and Kazuha, who is a new character, from the first character that we're getting from Inazuma that's playable. And his boss mat is the event boss, which you can collect using your resin. You can collect the boss mats and rewards from like any other world boss. And
Yeah, and
I know that in
why
past
would they
events,
make it
yeah,
temporary?
like in past events we've had
If
things
you
like
ever
we've
want to trade
fought
tactics,
that
I'm always ready.
cryo like plant in Dragonspine. But the thing is that gave an event currency. That gave like little gem things that were specifically for the Dragonspine event. But this actually gives like boss mats and stuff. And this could just be an excuse to get Kazuha
Today's
his
no
like
good for going out.
ascension mats. But if these islands disappear after the update, then it either means that the next update is Inazuma and they're going to put this guy somewhere else, or this just doesn't go away. And I feel like this whole thing is kind of relevant to Kazuha with him being
If you
like
ever want
on
to
the
trade
sea.
tactics, I'm always
He's
ready.
a traveler with Beto,
Yes.
I just feel like it's fitting. Anyways, that was my tangent. That or the whole thing just sinks, It's
I
just gone.
I
Like, bye.
yeah, I think it is very likely for it to sink just because they kept pushing this whole like
definitely.
temporary thing.
It's hard to
But I
remain
do
on
think it's an
dry land
interesting
for so
idea
long.
that
Never
maybe
get that
sometime in the
safety at my
future
land
or
legs.
now, but
Or they
at least
could
in the
definitely just
future, like
bring it back.
I think that they are eventually going to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to know what they're going to do about Kazuha and his
If you ever want to trade
all
This
of
is
tactics,
like
his
a
I'm always
ascension
temporary
ready.
materials.
boss. Like, I mean,
Like
obviously.
if you plan on getting him now, then you need to like grind just in these next few days. And the thing is, like, what happens to the people who like just randomly decide like, oh, I want to pull for him, or accidentally end up pulling him, like weren't necessarily trying to get him,
Yeah, or people
you
that are
know?
like low AR levels, they can't
And then
really
they
get a ton of materials yet.
and then they pull him, but they weren't prepared for him, and his boss is
So
gone because it disappeared with the island.
it's definitely
I
like
just,
super easy for them to just plop the boss somewhere else on an Inazuma map, but that also
I mean,
does
yeah,
confirm that if these are truly temporary, that we're getting Inazuma next patch, which whole different thing. We're at least getting
yeah.
some Inazuma, so that they can just plop him in somewhere. But still, I just feel like
Why
that's a
not
really
keep me
weird
company
choice,
for a
especially
while?
consider how much
There'll be
lore is
plenty
behind
of
these
time for
things.
work
Like, I'd
later.
understand if the conches are temporary, but making the islands themselves temporary, considering how much stuff
If you
is in
ever want to
here,
trade
is
tactics,
just so
I'm always ready.
strange. Like, you spend so much time developing these islands, these lands, all for it to only last 6 weeks.
Yes, I agree. It does feel like a lot of work, and I mean, just the amount of
cold beer
thought
after
that
a
we've
hard
even,
day's work.
put into this, and
Nothing
like
like
all
it.
of the little clues that they've left behind. I mean, I'm sure MiHoYo has a lot more planned. Like, if
Definitely.
nothing else, I want to see where Dong Dong's father is right now. Okay,
Yeah.
I want to know
He
where
could
he
be dead.
is. I want to. I
If you
want to
ever
put a
wanna
face
trade
to the
tactics,
He
man.
could
I
have
want to put a
perished.
name to the face of the man. Because we don't even know his name. He's just Dong Dong's father. The
Uh-huh.
fact that well,
I
I
guess
want to
he
say
wouldn't name. We're hearing from his point of view, so I guess he won't.
uh-huh.
To his son, he's just like, it's dad. He's not gonna be
Yeah.
like, uh, I don't know. I don't know why, but I was trying to think of a name, and the first thing that came to mind was Long John Silver's.
Dong Dong's okay.
Because I was like, what's something that rhymes with Dong Dong? And then my mind
Long
just went
John.
long, and then John, and then like seafood.
Yeah.
Silvers. Tis I, your father, Long John Silvers of Chingse.
But I mean, obviously, they cared enough about Dong Dong to reference him 3 times now.
If you ever wanna
Like
trade
we have
tactics,
him
I'm always
physically,
ready.
This
and then we've
random
got
kid.
his dad's journal, and then we've got his dad's voice lines on this random island. I want to know more about Dong Dong, and I want to know more about his dad, and I want to know why they're relevant. Okay, I care a lot about these 2 individuals.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but that's not what we're going to do right now, because now we're going to go somewhere else, and we're going
Oh
to
jeez.
talk about some more of the conches.
Yeah.
So,
It's hard to
I
remain
also
on
You ready?
noticed
dry
while you
land
were
for so
gone,
long.
I was looking at
Okay.
the maps,
Quite
right?
sad to get my
And
land
Mhm.
back.
so specifically the island Bygones one, right? And I don't
Okay.
know if it means anything, but I just found it really weird how like so the conches are on different islands, but they're grouped up based on like the conversations. So like the whole thing with like Dong Dong's dad, that set of conches are all on the same island,
It's
which makes
nearly
sense.
time for
Yes,
afternoon
it does
tea.
make sense.
The only one that doesn't match is 6 through 8, because 6 and 8 are both on the pudding isles, right? But then 7 is on the broken isle with 9 and 10.
Let me just look at the conches real quick and remind myself what
Yeah, it's
6 through 8
basically,
are.
Hard
I
day's work.
believe it's the one
Nothing like
where
it.
some girl is talking to her grandfather or just some old
We
man
can't let this.
Uh-huh.
and is trying to convince them to go to the seas. And
No,
he's
yeah,
like,
you're right.
no, don't do that.
Why not cramp up
And
Well,
6 through 8 all like sound like
for
they're part
work
of like
later?
one
the same
conversation or
conversation.
like one group of like like related conversations, like maybe this happened over like time, because the 8th one does sound like it was said after the first two, but the first two sound somewhat
If you ever want to trade tactics, I'm always ready.
closely related, like they were in the same conversation. And
The
the
thing
8th
is,
one, yeah.
with the 8th one, or no, sorry, with the 7th one, it's only the grandfather talking though. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why he traveled from
I've
one
seen
island
it
to
with my
another.
own eyes.
We'll get more into him and the girl later,
Yeah.
because I have theories.
Oh.
But
Today's
Yeah,
no good
but
for
it's just
going
that he
out.
sounds like he's talking to someone,
Did I say
yeah,
that
I guess
yesterday
there's
as
no
well?
there's nothing that it could be assumed that he's talking to like his granddaughter, or whoever.
or just anyone.
Yeah, but we don't know because her voice line's not there. So he literally could have just been talking to anybody, and we have no way of knowing.
He's
But
practicing his lines on a different island.
this is
He's like, I
I had
gotta,
to,
I gotta plan this to tell my granddaughter.
okay. So, but we're not going to talk about them yet.
If you ever
We'll
want to
get to
trade
them in a bit.
tactics, I'm always
We're
ready.
going to talk about. We're just going to go in order. So we're going to now talk about strangers in a strange boat.
Okay.
And to do that, we're going to go to where their strange boats are. But we can't teleport there. It's
Time to
all
hit the seas.
yeah, time to hit the seas. We're gonna go grab our boats. So let's go down here. Got our wave riders.
I just
Time to
realized that
skedaddle.
the lights turn on in them when you're in them. I just
Oh,
didn't pay
how
attention.
cute!
That's
You're
so
just
cute.
like.
We're like home.
I also like. I don't know why I'm not feeding. I also like the. There's a little chest on the back. Your little clothes and
No, our
stuff.
stuff, our luggage.
Gotta say, I was a little bit disappointed that Barbara and Jean both got to change into their summer clothes, and then you're just stuck in the same outfit the whole
I
time.
can't believe Clee didn't get summer clothes.
Anyway,
We gotta park our boats.
yes. I don't know why I turned back around. Like, did I park my boat correctly? I was already like halfway up the mountain at that point.
Did I put it in park or did I leave it in neutral?
Oh gosh, there's hilly trills here. Okay, but I guess we can like. Oh no, my hot
that
girl.
was really bad damage. We don't have the best team right now. I mean, like our electro gals, they're like pretty invested, but
Yeah, I've invested a lot into Lisa. I love her so much. But
my beta is a little lacking just because I normally build her for support, but it's all good.
Jean, on the other hand, I haven't built her at all.
Oh yeah.
She's just here to participate in Hot Girl Summer.
Same with Rosaria. We're just here for Hot Girl Summer.
Anyway, but Lisa's my face, my icon for now.
Uh-huh. And Beto's mine because I too am blind.
And I just want to be a sexy witch librarian. I don't see why.
You know, those are good goals to live up
Yeah,
to.
why I can't be all of them. Anyway, so we're here in this boat, this one half of the boat, and there is a quest that goes along with this as well, where you have to find the other half of the boat.
Uh-huh.
Which we'll go to, I guess, in a second.
In a
we'll
bit.
start here. We'll hang out here for
one
a second.
thing at a time.
While I talk about the first conch in Strangers in a Strange Boat. So here's where I think it's kind of weird, at least.
If you ever want to trade tactics,
Well,
I'm always ready.
okay. If you look at the voice lines for Strangers in a Strange Boat, to me, it sounds like the first one should be the second half. I don't know which is which. Like, oh yeah, also, I forgot to mention, I talked about how Dong Dong was the only name drop. Technically, that's not true because this chief...
It's the only one that we know, though.
Genome.
Yeah, it's the only one we know.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, these are from Inazuma.
Ready.
They are Inazumans.
Oh no, the ship!
Inazumans.
Ako
Zoomies?
Domeki.
I think we should call them Zoomies.
Zoomy.
That's
The
how you should
Zoomies.
refer to people from Inazuma as Zoomies.
I like it.
It's hard to remain on dry land for so long.
Anyway, I don't know if you read through them yet, but in my
did.
opinion, I feel like the second one makes more sense canonically sounding as being the first voice line said. I don't know why I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it just makes sense to me. So we are hearing these two pirates, or well, I guess no, well, okay, I'll get into why I think they're pirates later. But for now,
if you ever want to trade tactics,
for now, we'll just say these two Inazuman men on a ship. They clearly were on some kind of mission. Like, I don't know what Akademeki means. I don't know who Chief Genome is, but we can tell that they're from Inazuma because they mention. Oh well, also
I mean,
talk about
Akademeki sounds pretty Japanese to me.
Yeah, like that, but also they talk about how they've stolen a puppet. They talk about how the puppet is a samurai puppet, and I think we all know what samurai puppets
and they talked
there is
about
on
it
this
earlier
island.
I'm always ready.
In the new quest.
So let's go ahead and go to just the other half of the ship, just for flavor. While I
flavor text.
Yes. While I talk a little bit more.
Visual flavors.
We're teleporting to where Deluc is.
Oh.
Hey, Deluc. He's still there.
He's lonely.
But we're not gonna talk to him. He can just brood over there in silence.
I think he's. I was gonna say he's happy doing that, but I don't think he's been happy
I don't know if
for
I call him
years.
happy. Yeah. But we're gonna get in our wave riders because it's not over here.
Did you park your boat?
I did park my boat right next to some hilly churls.
And parallel parking skills. Hey, there's a flower underneath your ship. I'm gonna pluck it.
Yeah, I figured you'd want those.
I'm These are my Kazuha funds. I missed.
I am not planning on getting Kazuha, so.
I'm on 50-50. Wish me luck.
Yeah, good luck to you. Alright, let's go to the top. Okay, so here we are at the other half of the boat, and let's consider more about these men. So we get the voice lines done by them, and we know that there's two people. The first one is, the first one that's there is only one person, and he's just sort of lamenting to himself. Like, he's kind of sad, it sounds like. And
He's sad.
yeah. The second one has two people. In my opinion, the guy who's like lamenting in the very first conch, and the one who starts out talking in the second conch, sounds like he's. I don't know if they're like the same. Like, I don't know if he's a subordinate of the other one, but the other one just sounds like he takes charge better. He's like, he's like, we're going to do this. We're going to fix the ship. It doesn't matter what happens. Like, this other guy's kind of like, oh man, like it's hopeless. What are we gonna do? But this guy's like, we're going to figure it out.
Okay.
Now, to me, okay, so again, I'm pretty sure that they're pirates. And there is a reason for that, like in the other conches. But first, I think if we just look at these two conches, we can kind of tell, like, one, they talk about how their treasure's gone. I mean, pirates are kind of notorious for taking treasure. And two, they talk about how they stole a puppet and how this is their punishment for having stolen that puppet. So it sounds like the puppet wasn't,
If you ever want to trade tactics,
like it wasn't theirs to begin with, and they took it, and now they're like thinking that they probably shouldn't have it. Although then again, they talk about how they went through things with the army, so who knows if they're pirates or not. Yeah, it says after everything they went through with the army, all our hard-won treasure is gone. Maybe maybe they were army men, and Chief Genome is their like commander, their chief. Commander in chief. Anyway, bottom line is they were the ones who got the puppet to the island. So let's go look at the puppet, because the puppet, I think, ties into our very next, well, not the next story, because the next set of conches is Unlucky Father, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
But
skipping that.
The conch afterwards is a group titled My Hero. And I think that the general referred to in My Hero is the samurai puppet. If you look at My Hero, it's a little boy talking the entire time. It's the same boy. There's no other voice in this group. He talks about how. Oh wait, actually.
I mean, there's just
never
someone
mind.
saying like.
It's probably his like father or something.
Yeah, like his mom or dad.
The general's a good guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, he talks about how the general is a good guy. He protects us.
Yes.
And I had kind of drawn these conclusions even before today, but I remember before we like put the samurai back together and had it like come to life, that we were theorizing what the purpose of the samurai was, and like the big group of people from Mondstadt were like, it sounds like this samurai like actually protected the people.
Yeah, like
they clearly loved it.
It fought the Hilly Churls.
Yes,
it's like a defensive thing.
Churls.
Kind of like the they mentioned it like ruin guard.
Today's no good for going in.
But Japanese apparently.
He also talks about how the general never talks to him. This is a puppet, so it would make sense that the general like just can't talk. It's not like an actual living thing. It's not a
person.
And then the final piece of evidence that I have to present. Follow me, please. The final piece of evidence that I have to present. In the second voice line, he talks about like, I know you won't talk to me. The little boy, I mean. Is it okay if I give you this flower? I'm not in the right spot.
I'm assuming you don't mean these mints.
No, over here. Over here, remember when we first got to the island and we first got to this area, we noted that there was a flower here, and it looked like it was left in respect for someone. See, I think that this flower was put by that little boy for the general who is here. Wow. AKA the samurai puppet. See, this is why I think that the the puppet
Grown-ups say you
used
come
to
from afar
actually,
with
like,
land
obviously it
and
used
that
to
you're
protect the
dressed like an
people, and
army general.
maybe they were kind of wary
Mother
of
says
it,
you-
or at least like some of the adults were, but I think that this little kid just
Understandable.
really liked it. He thought it was cool. He gives it a flower. This is why the flower's here now.
The gro-
I don't know if it's true or not,
I mean,
but
it makes sense. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really read through these. I read through the conches, so I had a basic idea of what they were about, but I didn't do research like you did.
okay, so
Mother
I
says you're
also
not one of
have
us.
written down on my diagram that this little boy is the same little boy that's talking to the old man at the very beginning of the Island Bygones. There's
Ah,
a single voice line, Wisdom of the Ancients, and it
yes.
says, we simply put this net in here and wait, and it's like an old man explaining how to fish. There's only one line. It says, wow, amazing. I listened to that wow, amazing so many times.
And it's in the middle,
And
so you have to listen to the
I
old
know,
man.
I know, I know. I listen to it a lot. But I can say with like fair confidence that I'm pretty sure it's the same guy,
The
like
same
same
kid.
kid. It sounds similar enough to me at
I mean, if you
least.
look at where the conch was found,
It's hard to
maybe
remain
you
on
can
dry land for
cross-reference.
so
Um
long.
yeah, so
Not too far
may
away.
yeah, too far away. But hey, we
No,
already know
not
that they
too
go
far,
random places.
because
Oh,
the
not too
Island
far.
Bygones goes to like all the islands basically.
Well, my hero was basically like right here.
Hmm
Anyway,
The
well,
My Hero ones
yeah,
are on the Samurai Island and then like the
the pudding aisle.
pudding one. But the Island Bygones kind of just go everywhere. There's groups of them on
Yeah.
different islands.
Plus, we've already established that people are willing to travel a long
Oh,
way,
crab.
like Mr. Grandfather over here,
Mr. Grandpa.
who's
Old
willing
man.
who's
Old
willing to
man
have a
Gramps.
conversation with his granddaughter
Yeah.
and then leave, go to an island on the opposite side of the map just to say one line and then come back and
Hey, you
continue
know,
the
it
conversation.
happens. It happens.
I'm sure we're missing like a timeline through there. But this, I don't know, this is just something that I had noted down that I'm pretty sure this boy was talking to the old man learning how to fish. However, the thing about the
It's
old
nearly
men
time for
in these
afternoon
voice
tea.
lines is that they all sound different to me. So I don't think,
There could be multiple elders, you know?
I think that there's multiple grandfathers.
Like Bennett's
Okay, so
dads.
yeah. Yeah. There's just different old men. I mean, it makes sense. The big island, probably lots of people got shipwrecked. There's
Yeah,
a
they're
lot of old
just the
men around.
grand elders, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so going forward, this was just kind of a little bit of a sidetrack.
Yeah.
There's not much else with the general and with the little boy. That was just
It's
my
an
theory.
interesting little thing, you know?
Yeah, but we're gonna go
If you
back
ever
to
wanna
talking
trade
about the
tactics, I'm
two
always
guys that were
ready.
shipwrecked.
Uh-huh.
Remember how I said that there's only
Yes.
one line for the guy who was like, in my opinion, more commanding of the other guy, just because I don't know, he just from that one line, he seems like he knows how to
Yeah.
take charge. Well, we are going to continue on to the next set of
found it.
conches,
Oh,
which
no,
is called Grand Line, because I think that it's a male and a female voice, and they're
I don't remember
trying
these ones at
to.
all.
It's the ones where they're trying to figure out how to get off of the island. This is
Ah.
the conches that starts the quest of you making it to the nameless isle through the fog at a certain time of day. The very
see.
first
If you ever
voice
wanna
line
trade tactics, I'm
has
always
them
ready.
talking about how the guy
Yeah.
voice is like, this is like a professional attempt, like we tried doing this, it didn't work. The girl's like, I told you, clearly she's been here for much longer than the guy has, and she's like, my family has
We'll
already
not
tried
keep me
everything you could
company for a
possibly think
while.
of.
They'll be
And
says
eager
she's
to
an
he
get back to
says,
islander.
work later.
yeah, and he says, as if you islanders would even know how to start, he says, we are the pirates of Inazuma. I think he sounds like the same guy who had that single voice line in Strangers in a Strange Boat, in the second one, the one who
If you
says
ever
"Shut
want to
it,
trade tactics,
we're
Yes.
going
I'm
to
always
fix
ready.
Captain Akko's ship."
Same
I think that
vibes too.
I think that they sound exactly the same. I listened to it a lot. I had to listen to that long ass paragraph. It was so long. That guy just complaining the entire time. I practically memorized it after listening to it for so long. But I was just trying to get a good like feel because he's very passionate in that one. And in the others, he isn't like in the other voice lines in this one at least, he isn't like quite as excited, I guess,
Hmm.
because he's just more talking, but I still think it's the same voice
I
acting.
think it's got the
Wait,
same vibes because the other one is like very commanding. He's like, no, we're getting out of here. And this one, he's
If you
like,
ever want to trade
we
tactics,
are
I'm
the
always ready.
pirates of Inazuma, you know?
and so clearly the two pirates met up with the islanders, or at least like one of the families on the island, and
Cold
they
beer after a hard day's
he
work.
and this girl are trying to
Nothing
figure
like
out how they could possibly escape. I don't know what happened to the other pirate because I couldn't really find any mention of them anywhere else. It's just the single guy, but
He's the
anyway,
leader.
so the two of them, like this entire
If you ever want to trade
set
tactics, I'm
of
always ready.
Listen.
voice lines, it just sounds like the two of them kind of like planning and figuring out, like they discover that the fog becomes thin at a certain time, like it follows a regular pattern.
Hmm.
They decide to actually attempt it. They follow the waves. The girl's like, yeah, I know like these seas like the back of my hand. She's like, when you leave, please take me with you. They talk about how the rocks are a mirage. Anyway, so like it's just them figuring out that they can leave.
Today we tried sailing in
And
a
that's
fixed
where
direction,
we
but the
finally
boat
end
kept
up in
returning to
Island
its.
Bygones. Island Bygones is
Mm.
it's a lot. Like
That is a
this was
lot.
for
It's
it was
very
for
long.
sure it was by far the hardest part to like figure out and like to match voices to because there's just a lot of voices.
If you ever want to trade
I
tactics,
do
I'm
know,
always ready.
however, that the girl that's with this Inazuman pirate
Yes.
is the same girl that's trying to beg her grandfather to
Mm.
leave. The one
We can't let the
Yeah.
size of the ocean
this
intimidate.
is the same
Makes
girl.
sense.
She's figured out a way to leave, obviously, with this pirate. She's trying to get her grandfather to leave. At first, he doesn't want to, and then finally, he decides that he does want to
Why
leave.
She
not keep
wants
me
to
company for a
explore the
while?
world.
Other thing I noticed is that I'm pretty sure,
If you
back
ever
to
want to
Dong
trade
Dong's
tactics, I'm
father,
always
I'm pretty
ready.
sure that the guy that he's talking to is also this grandfather, or like also this old man. In the Island Bygones, I'm
What?
pretty sure it's the same person. So we know that when this might be how Dong Dong escaped, because
Cold
if we
beer
can
after
connect
a
him to
hard
like this
day's work.
grandfather, and then if the girl
Nothing like
and the
it.
Inazuman pirate figured out how to escape, it would be assumed that Dong Dong's father probably wanted to go with them. I mean,
Hmm.
I assume that a lot of people were leaving all at once because
If you ever
they
want to
didn't,
trade
well, there's
tactics,
no one
I'm
here
always
now,
ready.
and the tides were right.
Quick!
Like, we
Sounding.
keep getting
Hey!
all of these flashes back to the
Good for
tides.
going
Yeah, the
out.
rising
And
tides.
yes, I mean,
Did
when
I
we
say
first
that
show up on the
yesterday as
island,
well?
the tides are covering the majority of the island, so we can't even see how big it
It's
is.
hard to
Yeah,
remain
And
we
it
on
only
the
isn't
have
until the
island
tiny,
for
water
so
tiny
level
long.
sinks.
splotches.
Never
Yeah.
quite seem to get my
So
legs back.
it sounds like the tide was a big reason why they decided to like really push to leave. Like it sounds like a lot of them had
If
just
you
kind
ever
of
want to
settled
trade
into life
tactics,
on the
I'm
islands
always
and was
ready.
just, not super worried, but like a lot of the
Hmm.
younger generation was
As long as.
realizing that they probably couldn't stay there for very long because I'm sure the water level was like just rising over the years and it was getting to the point where they were realizing they weren't going to be able to live there anymore.
Hmm.
It's nearly time
And
for
this
afternoon
kind of
tea.
it kind of leads to wisdom of the ancients and incoming tide, like that's by the same guy, right? The one talking to the kid who is in the voice lines of the general,
Hmm.
and he just kind of
If
says
you
like, you
ever
hear
want to
that
trade
sound? That's
tactics,
the
I'm
sound of
always ready.
the tides. It means that we have to go up this mine. And then the last two on Island Bygones,
Hey!
Tide Watch series and High Tide Warning,
Yes.
they are, I
Plenty
don't
of
think
time
that
for
his
work
voice matched
later.
anybody. At
It
least
could just be a
I don't.
guy.
Yeah,
No.
or maybe I didn't notice if he matched the guy. I don't think he matched the guy from the beginning. I'm pretty sure I checked,
It could just be a random guy.
but again, this part also just didn't really fit in with anything else. Like the guy, like
Cold beer
the
after
younger
a hard
man
day's
that's
work.
in these voice lines, like the
Nothing
one that's
like it.
sounding the alarm because of the tide, his voice does not match anybody else at all. So I don't really know where he fits in, to be honest, because I feel like they just sort of threw this in there as like a way to tell you that the tides were a big part of what happened here on the islands. Also, with the whole Tide Watch series thing, you know, like the grandfather's like, careful, you can't go napping here, you'll catch a cold. And I just wonder like where he is. Like, is he on a ship? Is he up on top of a mountain? Like, where is he that he's keeping watch?
You know, we don't know.
That was just something else.
Yeah.
But anyway,
These last two are like such a turn, cause like the rest of it's like
yeah,
them trying to, like it's kind of
to
like
leave.
them trying to leave. You know, like the girl trying to convince her grandfather, like, let's go,
Mm-hmm.
let's get off these islands, and he's like, no, and
Grandpa.
then you know, eventually he's like, okay,
Wanna trade tactics?
and
I'm
then
always ready.
it goes to like, it just leaves like a
Today's no
eerie
good
kind
for
of
going
feeling,
out.
cause it's like the tides are coming in really suddenly, like.
Yeah. Like they're trying to get out of there as fast as possible.
Like maybe some emergency happened, like the islands are truly sinking. Because when we first showed up, even then, like there was barely anything, and like the first day,
Ultimately,
wasn't.
that
I
was
mean,
kind of the
the water
that was
still came
kind
up
of the end.
really high though. Like that's not enough room for like people to inhabit.
Oh. Well, yeah, for sure. I'm sure that's why maybe some of them
Cold
drowned.
beer
That's
after
kind
a
of
hard
dark.
day's work.
I
I
mean,
hope
I'm
that they
sure
just
people
Nothing
drown.
like it.
I'm sure that the majority of them probably made it out. So, anyway, I'm guessing that that's what happened to Dong Dong's father. That he had met up with this group of people, and one of them was like a young girl who
Uh-huh.
had also come together with the Inazuman pirates, and she and this pirate figured out a way to get off the island, and then they told at least this specific group of island people, because we sure don't know what happened to Song of a Distant Home,
It's hard
because
to
that was
remain
a
on
I
an
different
think that
family
island
those are
for
just
altogether.
like,
long.
I think that might be like
Never
the
quite seemed to
original
get
kind
my
of like
land legs
people
back.
that like had. They're just like the oldest group of people there. That seems.
It's possible. They definitely
They've definitely been
they'd
there for
also
like
mention
probably
about
the
how
most.
the tides get higher each year.
Yeah.
But to
The
me, it
tides are
sounds like
getting
they
higher
didn't
by
find
the
a way off the island.
No,
Their
definitely not.
solution was just to keep going higher.
Their conches are like the only ones that like stagnant. You know, like they don't go anywhere.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is they just died. Like I don't think that they were able to find a way off the islands. And because
Yeah,
the tides
probably.
were getting so high for them, they'd probably just drowned. And that's why like, you know, they lost their heirloom. It's like underwater. That's why we're able to
Somewhere.
find it.
Because it
So
just
I
got
do feel
like
bad for that family.
sunken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that Dong Dong's father made it out. I think he's still around. And
We
I hope
just
that
don't
we get
know
to meet him
where.
one day. We don't know where.
If you ever want
But
to
yeah,
trade
that's kind of the
tactics,
end of
I'm always
my
ready.
theorizing
Your
about
whole.
how all of the conches connect together. There is, of course, the very last set of conches, and those are the conches that we just got today,
I mean, I
which
feel like the only thing that brings to the table in regards to your thing is that it proves that the conches um, can record like more recent events too. So the conches,
It's nearly
it just
time
makes
for
it more
afternoon tea.
reasonable that like more than just the Dong Dong's dad conches might be recent events. So that it proves that the conches can be all more closely related. Since it
yeah,
recorded lines from literally like what just
today or
happened.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, like earlier. I just yeah, I think it's weird what the conches choose to
Though
record and then what is left behind.
mhm.
Also,
The
another
yeah,
proof that people may have been like more recent, um, is the fact that this flower is not dead. You know,
that's
if
true. It
this
could
was the
just be
flower
like a
that was left
perennial
behind,
flower though, like one that just lives.
yeah,
Although I
there
will
is an awful
say,
lot of moss on this
actually,
rock.
so like reading the recent, you know, conches from today, the familiar voices of the four of them, like I know I said that really
If you
they
ever
don't
want to
bring that
trade
much to the
tactics, I'm
table.
always
This
Although Albedo's line is interesting because he talks about his discoveries of the island, and he says this whole island is a chunk of Mondstadt Mountain.
Right. I forgot about that. I kind of glossed
Yeah.
over their lines because I was like,
It's not
we know these
relevant.
people.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out
I
the
saw
past.
some interesting stuff about this.
It's hard
where
to remain on dry land
his
for so
line is
long.
like basically
Never quite
saying
seemed
that
to get my land legs
I
back.
don't know if he has confirmed that this is true or not. I'm guessing it is. He's smart, you know. I trust Albedo.
I bet he knows what's
Yeah,
up.
I bet he knows what's up. Basically, he says that the whole island, which I don't know if he's referring to just the island he's standing on, or if the entire
Yeah.
group of islands, but it says that this island is a chunk of Mondstadt Mountain. A great force dislodged it from the mountain range and cast it into the sea. As it fell, it began to spin and ultimately landed upside down, which
If
makes
you ever
sense
wanna
as to
trade
the upside
tactics,
down
I'm
one.
always ready.
And let's see,
Which one?
the
Menasheus Island?
The Menasheus. Yeah,
Menasheus.
Menasheus. I have no idea. Like, I don't know. Is that a word?
Today's no good
What's
for
it
Mena-
mean?
going
I mean,
out.
I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, I'm curious what it means because the other ones are such normal words like broken isle, twinning isle, and then pudding isle. And
It literally just means menacing. I was gonna say it sounds
Oh.
like the word menace. It means menacing or threatening.
oh, okay. I feel like that one is like the least scary of the islands, but go off, you know?
Well,
You
you
know?
do have Broken is also kind of a not creepy name, but just like Broken is a negative word.
Yeah, that one
But
makes
then you
sense though
have
because
like
the islands are like, well, like it's a big
they're
chunk, but
broken.
like the broken
Yeah.
like mountain pieces, you know?
If you ever want
What
to
I
trade
don't get is
tactics, I'm
pudding.
always ready.
Like, where did that name come?
Their island specialty. That's what the locals cooked. I don't know, but yeah, I saw something really interesting. I came across on,
I'm gonna go
on
fight the
Twitter.
puppet
Cold beer
again
after a hard
Oh.
day's work.
while we do this.
Nothing
You're just
like
gonna attack him?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna. I'll just stand here
Continue.
and you know, watch.
You don't want to wait. Do you not want to like do something
Oh,
while we
sorry.
discuss?
It
Like that's
was
what I'm
because I
saying.
was
Like
like looking at stuff.
there's nowhere. Oh, you're looking at things like on your screen.
Yeah, you know.
Okay.
I'll point my
I was.
screen at the dude while I look up
Oh
my
gosh.
my things.
Bye,
Have
Lisa.
fun. Oh, well,
Well,
anyways,
I mean,
so I came across this thing, and basically it's a clip from, if you remember Venti's character quest, right? How at the end he delved into the history of how like Mondstadt kind of became how it was, how like they overthrew, you know, the old Mondstadt leaders. I'm guessing the Lawrence clan.
yeah.
And it has the unknown bard, you know, Venti's friend that he has decided to take shape of. And in that, it has this like cutscene where it shows this little floating rock mountain thing, and then it transitions from that into this nice little like waterfall looking thing that kind of matches, you know, just the basic scenery of what we see here. So like the islands have this whole thing that you mentioned earlier with how they pull in, you know, whoever they deem like that they choose, you know? And I'm
Yeah.
wondering if it's just a whole like cyclone of things, not just people, but if it truly is like a chunk of Mondstadt.
Maybe this is just fate's dark design.
I guess that's what I get for bringing a level 50 character. But, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways. God, I lost my train of thought after Rosaria died.
Going out is
Maybe it wasn't a good idea to fight this dude at the same time. This takes a
Okay.
lot of brain power.
It does take a lot of brain power.
Yeah, I'm gonna run away. You have fun.
Okay.
So basically, let me gather my thoughts again. Oh yeah, the island sucky things. That's a really weird way to phrase it. So like if the islands pull things in, and like we
If you ever
clearly
wanna
have
trade
things from
tactics, I'm
Mondstadt,
always ready.
from Liyue, from Inazuma. I'm wondering if like maybe this is kind of like the whole Bermuda Triangle thing that we were talking about yesterday. Like if this is the Bermuda Triangle of Mondstadt and of Teyvat.
Well, and everywhere,
Of
kind of.
Mondstadt,
Well, I guess
Liyue,
mainly
and
Mondstadt.
Inazuma. 3 of the nations, you know,
Uh-huh.
like a triangle.
I knew I should have.
I was not making that connection. But anyways, what if the reason that has specialties from these three things is that it sucked in chunks of like the land, you know? Because someone pointed out that if you look at the map of, I know you can't because you're like in the middle of a fight and stuff, but like,
I just died.
oh,
That did not go well.
well. So someone mentioned that if you look at like Falcon Coast, it kind of just like breaks off. It's just kind of broken,
Uh-huh.
as if some land is missing. I haven't actually scoped it out myself, but just looking at the map, it does look strange. It could just be weird landforms. And we don't have all of the Liyue map out yet, because we're still missing the chasm, which, you know, is a Liyue thing. But even looking at, like, some of these weird shorelines, you know?
Yeah.
What if the lands got sucked together into this weird
If you ever want to trade
whirlpool?
tactics,
Because
I'm
there's the
always
whole
ready.
thing with the whirlpools, too, that suck in boats. It's clear the
Right.
lands have, the fog has clearly sucked in people. Maybe this is just a point where, like, the three lands meet.
You know what someone should do is like take all of the map of the islands and then cut out like, you know, all of it, not just the islands themselves, but like the land masses that you can see under the water.
Like the light blue
and
part.
then do a Pangea thing where they fit them together and then see where it fits
Suppose
on
you
Mars.
could. Yeah.
I don't have the skills to do that, but
I guess
somebody
I could
should.
do that in Photoshop or something. Not
You
now,
could.
obviously.
No, not right now.
Oh,
But
definitely, yeah. But like, yeah, I don't know. Just some interesting ideas. They didn't talk about anything. They just posted a picture that was like, what if this was the Golden Apple Archipelago? And because that would explain
But-
how the specialties got here, kind of.
true.
And why that there's literally only like 5 places
ever
you
wanna
can get
trade
star
tactics,
conches on
I'm always
all the
ready.
islands. Like, I bet if you look up the interactive map, you can see where they are. But like, yeah, there's barely any places to get star conches on these islands. Yeah, okay, I looked it up. I checked the interactive map, and they're literally only on. There's only 4 places to get star conches. Yeah,
I'm definitely. I'm curious to know what they're going to end up doing. Like what the final
Oh, definitely.
part of this whole experience is going to be.
I'm wondering if they're even gonna
Never quite seem to get my land legs back.
reveal, you know, like all of it. Because, I mean, I guess Dragonspine is not a fair comparison because Dragonspine is just a permanent area. But even just looking at Albedo's quest, because that was like, I mean, you can still do his character quest, of course, but like during the event, you got extra lore, an extra quest involving the sword and like the origins of just like Dragonspine and the dragon on it and stuff. I don't know, like it just was never truly explained. So I'm wondering if that's the case with this, you know? Like, even though these islands are supposedly temporary, if the lore still won't, like, they won't wrap up all the loose ends before it
There
leaves.
sure are a lot of loose ends.
There are quite a lot of loose ends. Because, yeah, like,
But
basically, Dragonspine has a lot of loose ends, too.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, that could be a topic for another time.
A different night.
But a lot of these loose ends I don't care about. I just really want to know what happened to Dog Dog's father. I just want to know what happened to Dog Dog's father. I want to know if he's ever going to see his little boy again. Will Dong Dong get to see his father?
I'm curious, because Dong Dong says that he's gotten letters from his dad, right? But, like, I wonder how recent those have been.
True. All good points. But I think we've made it through all of the conches. I've talked about what I think that the connections are. We've kind of done a little bit of a dive into maybe where the islands could have possibly come from. I think perhaps it's time for the...
I still think it's just a Bermuda Triangle. Oh,
the Bermuda Triangle of Tevat.
I also saw, I guess it's cloudy right now, so now is not the best time.
I
But
can change the.
someone pointed out, and I thought this was interesting, that the moon in Tavat is always full. And I never really thought about it before, but when I
It
saw
is actually, yeah.
that, where the frick is the moon?
I'm on top
Oh.
of your head. I see it.
If
It's
you ever
still
want to
full.
trade tactics,
That does
I'm
look
always
cool.
ready.
Someone found a screenshot though that it does look like less full than like the Tavat moon.
I'm gonna go see Albedo, my beloved.
It's hard to remain on dry land for so long.
Well, I think that we have officially talked about and gone into a deep dive of the Golden Apple Archipelago.
Yes.
I think that we've
I'm gonna screenshot
honestly,
these so that I can have a fair comparison.
I feel like we've raised more questions
More
than answers.
questions.
But
Is that not what true discovery entails? Asking more
Yeah.
questions to get to an answer.
I mean,
I don't know what
yeah,
I'm saying.
something along those lines.
Something.
I feel like that was almost there. But yes, I think
You must
that
ask questions to gain answers.
I
I think that's
that
more along the lines of what I was trying to say.
I think that Miholia is probably not going to answer these questions
No.
anytime soon. I mean, maybe some of them, but as for what happened to specific people, I'm looking at you, Dong Dong's dad. I don't think we're going to get an answer anytime soon. But all I'm saying is they cared enough about him to reference him 3 times.
They really care
So,
about Dong Dong's dad.
well, and Dong Dong too. But
This is true.
I just want to know. I want to know what happened to the man and where he is now. Is he getting his
Where
life
is
back
he?
on track? Has he managed
Why am I
to
in the water?
gain any wealth since gambling it all away? Did he ever actually join the Crux and sail with Beto? Or did none of that happen? Did he not even make it off the islands? We assume he did because it seems like he was going to get on with the rest of the islanders who were leaving.
Yeah.
But
unless he didn't make it, if he's in like the group that like
If you ever want to
maybe
trade tactics, I'm
if
always
some
ready.
the
of the
group
people
that probably
perished.
just drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah, sucks for them.
No, because it seemed like happening near the end, there was quite the emergency happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure, like, they set off alarms. Don't know if everyone
Yes.
made it out.
But we hope that they did.
Yeah.
I think perhaps it's time to shut down the juice bar for the night.
Yeah. It's closing time.
To say our goodbyes and to say that there's something else targeting me. It's time to say our goodnights. But
fun with
for
that.
now, thanks for tuning in to the juice bar and for tuning in to our wild theories. Who knows if any of them are
Our
going
random
to actually turn
late
out to
night
be true.
discussions.
I just find it interesting how many of the voices
If you ever wanna
overlapped
trade
with each other.
tactics, I'm
Kinda
always
I
wanna
think that you
just
really,
more.
yeah, I think you really can make a little timeline out of everything. And I really do believe that the Islanders did not leave that much sooner than we arrived, like before Klee got her letter and all of this started.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cold
farewell.
beer
until
after
next
a hard
time,
day's work.
thanks for tuning
Nothing
in.
like it.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Whenever that would be.